we're going to be running through the insecure port scenario from Kube Security Lab. If you don't know what that is, check out my video on setting up a Kubernetes pen testing lab to get caught up. The scenario is simple. First, we port scan a node on the control plane. Then we enumerate each port to figure out what anonymous users are allowed to do on the cluster. And then we discover we have unrestricted access to the Kubernetes API server. So we steal the ca.key file to ensure that we have persistent access to the cluster. It's basically a high-level view of how all of these scenarios are going to go. This is by far the simplest one, so it's a great place to get started. So let's get started. Okay, so first we are going to enter our client container, which we use to attack the target cluster. Docker exec -it client bash. And here we are, little ls. And now we're going to port scan the cluster. -p for all ports. And we're going to save this to a file called nmap. Wait, I believe I have the wrong IP address. It's 172.18.0.3. There we go. And I always like to save the target IP to a variable so that we can call it easier and we don't have to memorize it. So now whenever we need it, we just do that. Okay, moving on. So here we have the output of our nmap scan. We see an etcd client, etcd server. This service name is incorrect, but we see that it's port 6443, so we know that it's the Kube-api server. An HTTP proxy, that looks suspicious, and 4 ports in the range of 102.5 something. 102.50, we know that's the kubelet. The rest, not sure. So yeah, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to check for anonymous access to all of these things. And doing that, we can just run down our cheat sheet that we have handily on the left here. So I like to go top to bottom. So we're going to do port 2379 first, the etcd client. Scroll over to the ports section of our cheat sheet, port 2379. So we're going to see if we can dump secrets. If they have given unlimited access to the unauthenticated user, then that's actually something we can do. First, we run this command just to specify that we want to use version 3 of the etcd-ctl API. And here's our command to dump secrets. Basically, what's important to know here is that there's something called etcd-ctl. etcd-ctl. And this is a command line interface to mess with etcd. So yeah, let's put in our command. And we just have to replace cluster IP with our target IP address, and we've saved it to target. We run this command. Context deadline exceeded. This is the classic error message that you'll get when you don't have access, basically. So we move on. Refer back to our nmap scan. And next up is port 6443, which is the API server, a high-value target in a Kubernetes cluster. So let's just start by trying to curl. And let's not forget our -k flag that basically says We don't care if the connection isn't secure. And surprisingly, we actually do have access. So /version returns 1.18.2. That is a very old version of Kubernetes, so it makes sense to check for very old flaws. Let's just try and enumerate other endpoints, /version /endpoints. And it looks like /endpoints is actually forbidden. So we have limited access here. Noted. We might come back to this later. For now, we're going to go to port 8080, which is an HTTP proxy. And as always, I like to just start with curl. And we actually get a lot of output. So it looks like we have paths and a lot of endpoints. This seems to be a proxy for the Kube-api server. So we don't have access directly through port 6443, but we have open access through the proxy. So this is a pretty bad misconfiguration. So yeah, let's see what we can do. Of course, we should be able to do /version. We can. Let's see. We have logs here, just randomly enumerating. Successful, but gives us no output. Okay, so we have access, read access at least, to the API. Let's try to execute some commands. So in order to execute commands over HTTP, we can use this command. Whoops. Let me just clear all this output actually. There we go. Okay. So, not sure if you can see that. Sorry, my terminal is actually pretty small. But let me see if I can make the text bigger really quick. I'll leave that for later. Okay, so let's replace this with our port and our IP. Target port 8080. This will give us an error if we try to do HTTPS. So we remove the S, now it's HTTP. Again, we're enumerating for whatever we can do with this user, system unauthenticated. And we're going for it. So just to keep things simple, we'll try version again. Okay, that seems to work. Now let's try get pods. Okay, the command was successful. Nothing was found, but the command was successful. So let's enumerate all of our permissions using auth cani list. And wow, yeah, we have completely open access. ** means we have access to everything. Under resources, another star, and all verbs under the resources. So let's go straight for the throat. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna get pods again, but we're gonna do it in a different namespace. The default namespace is what it sounds like. It's the default namespace. But since we're querying an API server, we're going to do kube system, which is the namespace that all the control plane stuff has, or is in, sorry. So yeah, okay, so these are the pods running on the kube system namespace in a control plane node. And naturally, we want to go for the API server, because that's where the biggest treasure is. We copy that And now we can get what we came here for, the certificate authority signing key. So here's the syntax to execute commands. Exec, the name of the pod, dash dash, and then the command. I like to start with ls just to make sure that my syntax is correct. That worked. And now let's get what we came here for. And there we have it, folks. With this key, we have persistent access to the cluster because we can sign our own requests. Yeah, just a little detail. So the key is in this directory by default when a cluster is set up with Kube-api. That seems to be the way most clusters are set up, but just know that it might not always be that way. But pretty reliably, this is a good first place to look. So there we have it. We have our key. It doesn't seem to be encoded. That's the end of this scenario. Have a great day.